Welcome back, my dear students. In this presentation, I am going to explain about fertilization and embryo development. Fertilization means, as you all know, that the fusion of male and female gametes. Here, the fertilization takes place between the haploid sperm and the ovum, and it results in the formation of diploid zygote. During the copulation, the semen which containing sperms are passed to vagina, and that process is known as insemination. Then the motile sperms reach the cervix region, then uterus region, and then finally reaches the ampullary isthmic junction. And the ovum is released, which is also transported to the ampullary isthmic junction. And in ampullary isthmic junction, the fertilization takes place. Then the sperm penetrates to the zona pellucida layer of the membrane of the ovum. See, this is zona pellucida, and this sperm induces the changes in the membrane. Due to this, it blocks the entry of additional sperms, so that only one sperm can fertilize an ovum. See here, these sperms are entering, but they cannot enter because here you can see there is a structural change. And after the entry of the sperms, the secretion of the acrosomes, this makes the zona pellucida layer to change, right? So then what happens means, this ovum is not a functional ovum. Okay, that is secondary oocyte. That secondary oocyte completes the second meiotic division, and it leads to the formation of functional ovum, or it is also known as ootid. This ootid or functional ovum fuses with the sperm and forms the zygote. During the second meiotic division, it results in the unequal division forming, see, this is an egg and this is a first polar body. Next, sex determination of a child. The sex of a child is determined at the stage of fertilization. The sex chromosomes are of two types. In male, there is X and Y, hence it is called heterogametic. And sex chromosomes are female are X and X, that is homogametic. Okay, if the zygote carrying XX, that develops into female. If the zygote carries XY, it develops into male. Here you can see the sperm carries two kinds of chromosomes, that is X chromosomes and Y chromosomes, whereas the X produces only X chromosomes. If X fuses with Y, then the resultant will be the boy baby, and if X fuses with the X, the resultant will be the girl baby. This is called sex determination. Next is implantation. Implantation means the attachment of the blastocyst to the endometrium wall. What is blastocyst then? It is nothing else but the mass of cells. Now the zygote is formed, I told you. That zygote moves from ampullary isthmic junction then to the uterus. During this moment, the mitotic division occurs, and the division is termed as cleavage. The cleavage results in the formation of 2, this is first cleavage, and 4, 8 and 16. And 16 cells are called blastomers. And the embryo which is formed of 8 to 16 cell is called the medulla, and that forms the blastocyst. The blastomers are the cells which are found in blastocyst. This blastocyst or blastomers, it is having an outer layer, and that is called tropoblast. See here, the outer mass of cells is called tropoblast, and there is an inner group, sky blue color here inside. This inner group of cells are called the inner cell mass. This inner group of cells are attached to the trophoblast. This trophoblast layer is attached to the inner lining of the uterus called endometrium. Then this inner cells which are found here. So this inner cells divide rapidly and they cover the entire blastocyst. Now this blastocyst here, sixth stage, this becomes embedded in the endometrium and this is called implantation. Implantation assures the pregnancy. Then implantation takes place exactly on 7th day of fertilization. Next, what happens after implantation is pregnancy. After implantation, the finger-like projections, they appear on the trophoblast layer and that finger-like projections are called chorionic villi. This chorionic villi is surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. So now the chorionic villi or the finger-like projection along with the maternal tissue forms the placenta. And placenta is the organic connection between the fetus and the maternal tissue. Now let us study more about placenta. I told you that placenta is an organic connection between the maternal tissue and the fetus through which the physiological exchanges takes place. Now let us see what are the physiological exchange or what are the functions of placenta. The physiological exchange means the placenta facilitates the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. Next, it removes the carbon dioxide and excretory waste material. And this placenta is connected to embryo through umbilical cord. See, this is umbilical cord. And this umbilical cord helps in the transport of the substances. And this placenta also acts like a endocrine tissue and produces several hormones. The first hormone is the human chorionic gonadotropin or HCG. Second hormone is human placental lactogen. And the third hormone is estrogen and fourth is progestogen. These are the hormones which are secreted by the placenta. Next is embryonic development. After implantation, the embryo differentiates to form three layers, that is triploblastic organization. The outer layer is called ectoderm, inner layer is called endoderm and the middle one is called mesoderm. And here there is an inner cell mass and that inner cell mass is called the stem cells. The stem cells are having the capacity or the potency to give rise to all types of tissues and organs. The human pregnancy lasts for 9 months. At the end of first month, the human or the fetal heart is formed. The first sign of the fetus can be observed from the heartbeat. And at the end of the second month, the limbs and digits are formed. And by the end of the third month, most of the major organs are formed here. And in the fifth month, fetus movement can be observed and the hair growth can be seen on the head. And about 24th week, that is second trimester. 3 months means first trimester, 24th week means second trimester. The body is covered with fine hair. The eyelid separates. The eyelashes are formed. And by the end of the 9th month, the fetus is fully developed and it is ready for delivery. You can see here the development of the fetus in first month, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8th, and finally 9th. Next is parturition. As I told you, the average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months, and that period is called gestation period. What happens after this means there is a vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of the pregnancy, and that vigorous contraction expels the fetus out, and that condition is known as parturition. And this parturition is induced by complex neuroendocrine mechanism. That means nervous system as well as the hormonal system acts together. The signals are formed from the fully developed fetus and the placenta. See, the signals will be sent from the fetus as well as placenta, and it makes the mild uterine contraction, and that is called fetal ejection reflex. The signals what I told you, it is for parturition, that originate from fetus and placenta. Okay, and this signals triggers the release of the hormone known as oxytocin from the anterior pituitary, that is the maternal pituitary. So this pituitary gland releases a hormone called as oxytocin. This oxytocin brings about the uterine contraction. Then stronger uterine contraction makes the release of oxytocin more and more, and this repeats for several number of times. That is, release of oxytocin, uterine contraction, then again uterine contraction, release of oxytocin. Finally, the baby is expelled out, and that condition is known as parturition. Next is lactation. At the end of the pregnancy, the mammary glands differentiate and start producing milk, and this is called lactation. And this lactation helps the mother in feeding the newborn child. The milk which is produced during initial few days of lactation is called the colostrum. This colostrum contains several antibodies, and which are absolutely essential to develop the resistance against the diseases for the newborn baby, as the newborn is immunologically very inactive. So the antibodies need to be supplied through the colostrum rich milk. Hope you understood. Thank you for listening.